So this is Sugar Dragon S8, one of Paul Thompson's seedlings, and this was crossed with Hooten and Rixford, the double red flesh varieties. Both were red flesh. So you can see it's created a beautiful olive skin. It will get a little bit yellow with a lot of sun and as it grows, but it's nothing to be concerned about. These things are really tough. They can be a little bit hard to root at times if they're mature cuttings, but they're really thick, really hardy. They're not too spiny. They get 1 to 3 of these smaller horn spines. It's not too bad compared to other varieties. And I've taken several cuttings from this plant as well. So you can see here's some newer growth. It'll be a little bit kind of yellow and green, but it will darken up quickly. It's topping the trellis here, doing great. So that's 8S Sugar Dragon, the S8 Paul Thompson cutting, or Sugar Dragon, which is the same thing now. So this plant is from seedling of Paul Thompson out in Bonsall, California. And I went over the hill actually yesterday, and I got to meet Linda Nickerson of Elk Creek Dragon Fruit. And I heard the story of how she renamed that plant, and I also got 4 more cuttings. So I got a Delight straight from Paul Thompson, because she got it there, a Maria Rosa, I can't remember the little guy on the left offhand, and this one is the Pride of Fallbrook, which is their own variety. So super cool. It was an awesome experience. She is an amazing lady, Linda Nickerson. So she's the one that renamed this the Sugar Dragon because of 2 reasons, she said. One was so they sold better, and 2, everybody that called her always forgot what it was called. They'd say, oh, can I have that 80S or the S80? And in addition, this is to clarify that this is a universal pollinator. So if you are a dragon fruit collector, or if you have one dragon fruit plant, this is the one you want, because the pollen, they're self-fertile, and the pollen can pollinate any other dragon fruit from what I've read, and thanks to the comments of all the wonderful subscribers that have chimed in so far. So there you go. It's gonna close up pretty soon. It's amazing. I did try to hand pollinate it too, so we'll see. But the scent of this is intoxicating. So I really appreciate this blossom and think it's just beautiful. Also at Elk Creek Farm, I was able to bring home a Sugar Dragon fruit there and tour all the plants, and it was amazing. The taste of it, it's a really smaller dragon fruit, but it was kind of a reddish fuchsia purple, and just wonderful. I mean, we had 5 people over and we all got some, and it just, the texture, the taste, the sweetness, it was very, very enjoyable. Kind of like a grape and a kiwi combined in a pleasant way. Hey everybody, this is Paul, and today I have my 2 favorite dragon fruit I'd like to do a little taste test on and compare and contrast. So on the left here is a Sugar Dragon, and on the right is a Pelora, or a Ecuador yellow Pelora dragon fruit, and they are wonderful. So starting out with the Sugar Dragon, the S8 Paul Thompson seedling. You can see it's a winter crop, but definitely, oh no, bummer. I'll wash that and eat it later. But it's a winter crop, and you can see it's a beautiful fuchsia color. So this is a small one. It's at the end of February, and it's not at its best, but the seeds are small, and it's a very pleasant tasting dragon fruit, in my opinion. So let's see how it tastes in the middle of winter. There it is, Sugar Dragon. And it's great. So what I like about it is that the seeds are really mild and pleasant, and they're not earthy at all. And this is definitely really sweet. Some people call it a candy dragon. So the winter fruit are not as good as summer fruit. However, in Ecuador, where these are grown, these are sweet all the time. So the way I like to eat this, I like to cut the ends like so. And then cut it into fourths, which I did a bad job. Okay. So, right off the bat, you can see it has much bigger seeds. So it's a white flesh, but it's extremely sweet. It bricks scores in the low 20s, I think 20 to 22. And the only bummer is the seeds are kind of more earthy and kind of taste a little bit of, I guess, for lack of a better word, kind of dirt. Tastes like dirt. So much sweeter though. Now I like the seeds. I think they're enjoyable. And I think crossing these two would be awesome. I mean, it'd be a really cool mix to cross these two and make some hybrid. So, what makes this so unique or sweet, in my opinion, is that it's a yellow megalanthus, and it has spines on it, and they have to be brushed off. And so this also stays on the vine for about 180 days, compared to a sugar dragon, which would stay on the vine in the summer for about, I don't know, late 30 to 40, 42 days or so. And in the winter here, this one was, the flower had been pollinated on Christmas. So it sat for about 60 days. And it's really sweet, it's wonderful. I'd give it a 8 or 7 out of 10, but this one I give a 9 or a 10 out of 10. So definitely the yellow Pelora is an amazing fruit. Really enjoyable. It's really easy to propagate from seed. The last one I found, I grew about 2 dozen seedlings, and I have some currently grafted to rootstock. And these seeds were extremely easy to propagate. You just want to kind of clean off as much flesh as you can, put them on a piece of toilet paper, and then into some high quality soil. Now also you can see this one started to sprout. So that's another common feature with yellow dragon fruit, is that the seeds will start to sprout. I don't know if you saw the little sprout starting to form on there, but it's there. So anyways, you can see the difference between these two wonderful dragon fruit, and they're both extremely sweet, but this is the sweetest dragon fruit that I've ever tasted, and they continue to never disappoint me. When I find them in the stores, I always buy a few. Hey everybody, this is Paul with Rare Dragon Fruit, and today I'm at the Pitaya Festival production facility tour out at a ranch here in Escondido, and it is amazing. So I've learned so much. I think the best strategy that they're doing here, in my opinion, is that every 5th plant is a sugar dragon, a universal pollinator, and what they're doing here is letting the bees do the work. So they're cross-pollinating using every 5th plant or so a sugar dragon, which is excellent strategy. This trellising looks like it's working, but I think it's could be a bit of a better design. I think it's starting to buckle from the weight. Also, they wish they would have preferred to have larger pots. I was talking to some of the growers in hindsight, and they said that they wish they had bigger pots, but they're doing fine here. And it's basically all roots, it's barely any soil, but the plants are doing great. So definitely an amazing learning experience so far. I am having a great time here. Hey everybody, this is Paul, and today I'm going to show you how to turn an unhappy flesh cut into a stem cut, and I'm going to try to kind of promote some roots. Like I saw a cutting that I received, kind of had a little strategy I want to try out. So anyways, here's the problem. You can see that this sugar dragon, it's been 6 weeks now in potting soil, and it's not growing anything, not really any rot, maybe a tiny bit of rot right there, if you can see it. But either way, I need to get some roots promoted out of this thing. It's a mature cutting, so sometimes they take their time. So I want to turn this into kind of a stem. So I just cut that off, and now I have this really large 2.5 foot heavy mature sugar dragon cutting, and I want to turn right in there into a stem. So my first step is that I want to cut it back, and I'm gonna do extra, and I kind of saw it was more cut at an angle like this. So I'm gonna try that. This is a new strategy for me. So once I do that, I'm gonna peel away all the flesh. So I'm gonna cut back all this flesh right here and get it all cleaned up. So, whoops, I'll get it all cleaned up. So I'll show you what it looks like next. Okay, I got a better angle here, so I'm just gonna kind of show you better how I use these tools here. So definitely just kind of shave it off down to the cambium layer. So be careful you don't hurt yourself. Again, you want to just peel off all that flesh down to that layer right there. See it? That's what you want to do. And I'm gonna create a really exaggerated rootstock this time. So I'll show you what that looks like, and I'll tell you why once I've kind of finished this up. So again, have the right tool for the job, have something really sharp, and peel it down to create kind of its own stem. You don't want to go too far. So I'll show you the next step here in a moment. Let me get situated. Okay, so I had some success. What I did is I used this sharp knife, and I kind of peeled back just the cambium layer to kind of turn these into little roots, hopefully, when I soak it in water after everything calluses over in a couple days. So you can see I kind of peeled them back just fine, like this one. It did a really good job. And over here is a little bit thick, but that's kind of what you want to do. I received a cutting that had been done like this, so they kind of just peeled it back like that, and it turned into hopefully some roots. So let me get a little better angle. I'll try it one more time. I don't want to do it too much because I think I have kind of plenty here, you can see. But again, it seemed like what they did was just kind of cut back just like so, and these kind of eventually became little roots. So that's the cambium layer. So I'm going to try this strategy. Again, what I'm going to do is allow everything to callus over for a few days. Definitely right here, you want it to callus over, kind of to scar over. And then I'm going to soak it in water just up to there, so from here to here. So I shouldn't get any rot, and this thing should promote roots much quicker, because these old mature cuttings like this, you know, in this case of the sugar dragon, it's really big, well over 2 feet, and it doesn't want to do much in the cold weather. So I'm going to let this sit up vertical inside water like so, and in the garage, and hopefully we'll get some sprouts, some rooting activity quickly. Hey everybody, so the sugar dragon has been in this cup sitting up with water for 5 weeks now in the middle of winter, and it's still just taking its sweet time. So using this method, I like it. I mean, I think it's gonna still be fine. It's probably taking in some water. But what I learned is I should have cleaned off all that plant matter better. See the black kind of mold? So I'm going to clean that up after this, maybe use a little peroxide on it. So that was the first thing I should have done, is I should have made sure the stem had no plant at all, no plant matter. That was my first mistake. Second mistake, I probably should have cut this a little deeper and a few more of them. You do see the sap here, so that's a good sign. And it's just, I think it's the temperature. It's been really cold the past several weeks, and it just is not in a hurry to root. So I'm going to stick some rooting hormone in the water, see if that will help. And again, I'm going to clean this off with probably some wet paper towel and some peroxide. So hopefully it'll be happy. Okay, so I'm going to show you 3 different strategies to get these really stubborn, mature dragon fruit cuttings. They're all sugar dragon, to get them to root. Now, believe it or not, the one on the right has been in that cup of water, filled with water, for almost 6 months. Now, it did not root, and it rotted a little bit, I should say. And I did an episode on how to get it to promote roots, and it still is being very stubborn doing this flesh to stem cut. Now this one has a successful graft that we did way back in November 11/29, yet it still has not rooted. So I'm going to try a strategy to help this thing wake up. They've been in our greenhouse for a month, and everything else has rooted or is in the process of it, and these are just still being dormant for some reason. Now this really thick sugar dragon cutting is also hasn't done anything. It's lazy bones. So there you go. I'm going to show you what I'm going to do now to hopefully get these to root. Okay, so as you can see here, I tipped it at a 45. So tipping a lazy dragon fruit cutting after I've already did the flesh to stem cut and had it sit in the water for 5 months, now I'm tipping this one. I mean, it's really mature and still has plenty of energy, but tipping it should induce some growth. Seems like the more you manipulate these plants, the more they'll kind of wake up. So that's it for this one. I'm going to plant this one in potting soil and use some rooting hormone. Now this mature sugar dragon cutting is also really big, and what I'm going to do for this one, as you can see, it's quite large. What I'll do for this one is something similar. So I will also tip this one at a 45. Hopefully induce it, and then at the end where it needs to root here, I think what I'm gonna do in this case is probably just kind of score it a bit and let it callus over. So I'm just scoring it, really kind of a basic quick score. There. Just something kind of like that. Just enough to wake it up, and I think that's gonna help. Hey everybody, this is Paul, and today I'm gonna teach you how to score your dragon fruit cuttings if they're being very stubborn and not wanting to root. Now you can see this is our peg style graft. It's totally attached. It's been like 9 months, but this crazy sugar dragon didn't root. Now, I think sugar dragon has some Solanacea cetaceous genetics in it. Maybe the Houghton parent plant had it, but that's just my opinion. So anyways, they can be really stubborn. So what I like to do is I'll take a sharp knife and just score it a little bit. Just not too far, not too much. Just enough to kind of trigger a response from the plant. So something like that. Now you can see I did it on the other end here, and I finally got some roots. Honestly, it's been like 9 months trying to get this thing to root. No joke, 8 or 9 months. So you can see I've scored it many times, and finally I had success. So you can let it callus over for a week in the shade like most people do, but I like to just put mine in dry potting soil. In fact, I'll put a stick and stake it later, and I'll leave it alone in the shade for a week. And then I'll start watering the flesh every day. So what I like to do is I sprinkle just enough water to get all the flesh wet daily. I don't worry so much about the soil, but especially I like to water the plant. And then I have success rooting them. So I've had success with, that's an Israeli yellow cutting that I bumped off, and that was actually quick to root. But this one, yellow Thai, it took about 8 or 9 months to root. It's very, very challenging. I even tipped it, and I had to score it several times.
What's up guys, this is Scott, and today I just wanted to share with you some new growth on this sugar dragon cutting. I believe there's 5 buds on there. There's a few down here as well. So we've seen a lot of new growth on the dragon fruit cuttings as we get into springtime, but this one is really popping. And I noticed with the sugar dragons, they don't seem to root really fast, at least the ones that I got. In fact, I have some larger cuttings that really took a long time, and I don't even think they've rooted yet. But these have rooted and are really killing it. The sugar dragon is a Hydroceres guatemalensis crossed with some unknown variety, and it's created by Paul Thompson. I know Paul talks about Paul Thompson all the time, so I'm sure he'll do a spotlight on this varietal, but I just wanted to show you what I had going on over here. And what else? Sugar dragon is considered the universal pollinator, so a lot of the farmers are now planting the sugar dragon around their other dragon fruit in order to get more pollination and better fruit production, and instead of having to hand pollinate every single individual flower. And I know sugar dragons are also known for their high flower production, so I guess it isn't surprising that this cutting has 5 buds on it already, but you know what? I'm pretty stoked on that. What's up, guys? This is Scott from What Plant Is That, Paul? I just wanted to do a quick update on this sugar dragon cutting that I featured last week. It had 5 points of new growth that all look like buds, but since a couple of them have aborted, so now we're just left with 3 solid flower buds. There's one right there, and we got one right up at the top. And I got it in this little greenhouse box that I made, and it seems to really be digging the extra humidity. And if these things all flower, we're gonna use the pollen for pollinating a lot of the other dragon fruit that bloom this season. So I'm gonna make sure to give some to Paul, and hopefully he'll have a great year. Just wanted to do a quick update on this sugar dragon bloom. It's about to go. So, man, this thing has really grown a lot in the last week. I mean, I think it's probably grown about 6 inches in the last week. It's really amazing. And I believe it's gonna open up tonight, and we'll collect some pollen. I'll go ahead and shoot a video tonight of us doing that, but such a beautiful flower. Can't wait to see it. Amazing. The sugar dragon. Our sugar dragon flower has finally bloomed, and it's time to collect some pollen. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Best thing to do is just get a bowl. I got a little bowl here and a little paintbrush, right? And should use a new paintbrush, something that is clean. And what we're going to do is just going to, a good way to do it is to put the lip of the bowl over the petals here so you can get the pollen. And then you're just going to knock it right off the flowers into the bowl. So lots of pollen is going to come off here. There's plenty. So the sugar dragon is known as a universal pollinator, so we're going to use this pollen to pollinate some of the other dragon fruit that bloom maybe later this month and later into the season. And we'll let this bloom, see if it'll fruit too. The sugar dragon have a real small fruit. It's pretty tiny, but it's really delicious. So it's definitely got value, but as far as commercial value, I guess it's a little small for something you might see in the stores, but I do think it's very good. And we're going to go ahead and give this flower a little pollination too at the end here. So we're just going to hit the tip up, and that should be pollinated. These will close really fast, so by tomorrow morning this flower is going to be closed up, so you have a really short window in order to get your pollen. So you got to keep an eye on your flowers and know when they're going to open, because it's a really short bloom. So we're just going to continue just kind of collecting all this extra pollen here, and I know Paul is going to want this for some of his other dragon fruit, so we're going to put it in a baggie and give it to him later.
This sugar dragon right here. This sugar dragon is what I call the SD9, meaning on one arm last year I had 9 flowers and 9 pieces of fruit.
And they all set. I was here.
Every
I came
one
and
of them
saw it.
set. Paul saw them. But you can kind of see this plant has got some type of different genetics rolling through it because the girth and the thickness of it. Additionally, I think it's doing very, very well because it has the shade of not only the banana, but the moringa. Sugar dragons don't like this deep yellowing and a lot of full sun. I have other ones, of course, in full sun, and you can see kind of the sunburn on them, the yellowing, and losing that pigmentation.
And also, you said the moringa tree, that's a deciduous tree, so you're getting the benefits of full sun in the winter, but then it's going to create a canopy for you in the summer,
From
into
spring
the fall,
and summer
right?
into the fall.
That's
so,
perfect.
Yes. And, but no, this SD9, I've been growing this plant for a little over 10 years now. The original mother stock came from Gephardt and Linda up in Fallbrook. And of course, they've got their stock from Paul Thompson, who developed this plant.
How do you care for your sugar dragons now that spring is coming and you grow them in full sun? What are some of your strategies?
Well, you could see clearly the difference from last year where this got kind of burnt up, and then these get kind of dead and dried. And so a lot of times what I'll do is I'll come and just kind of clean them up like this first. Second of all, I'll make sure that, hey, look, I'm getting some nice juvenile growth, as you can see right here. But I've got these longer arms here. This one here is about done growing for what I need it to do. So what I like to do is I'll go ahead and prune out at about a 45 degrees, north facing. And what I've done now is I've stopped this arm from growing. And by doing that, this next flower and fruiting season, come June, these are gonna start really popping with a lot more fruits. And once you start to kind of prune the ends, when they've kind of lollipopped up, and this arm is a good 5 foot long. So anywhere between about a 4 to 5 foot, maybe even 6 foot arm, you'll prune like this one here. See how I'm getting this nice juvenile growth right here? It's gonna be the fruiting wood. However, if I really want this thing to produce a lot of fruit, I'm gonna go ahead and prune it just like that on the end. And all you really do is you just prune off just a little bit of that, okay?
Just the tip.
Just the tip it.
At a 45.
At a 45 north facing.
Why is north facing
You don't
more
want it
important?
southwest facing because that's the way the field has been set up. You don't want that where you've pruned it to be sunburned and to be get direct light. On a north facing prune like that, this at a 45 on a down slope, this piece is not going to get much light. So it's not going to damage this plant, okay? And speaking of that, this time of the year, when you're walking up to your plants, ask yourself 2 questions. What am I doing and why am I doing it? Okay? Your plants are going to react to what you do. You can overwater, you can underwater, you can not fertilize, you can have this in full sun and this in full sun. I'm getting some yellowing across here, a little bit of sunburn. However, we're getting all this new beautiful juvenile growth too, as you can see all along this arm.
Is that yellowing something to be concerned with in this case, or
Not really. With the sugar dragons, they're so tough.
It's kind of the cetaceous DNA, I think, that's inside it. Some of the Selenocereus.
And if you look more towards the bottom of the plant, and it's still in full sun, right in this main trunk, there's no yellowing. And if you go onto the north side of the plant, you won't get any yellowing because it's not in full sun. Sugar dragons really like more indirect sunlight. However, a few of these that I have here are doing very well in direct sunlight. Of course, we talked about the SD9 earlier. That's all shaded with moringa and the bananas. And so I really recommend this time of year trying to get indirect sunlight, doing some early pruning so you can get some nice fruit set, getting down on the base and getting some mag in there and some other nutrients, bat guano, seaweed extract, compost tea, and then sit back and enjoy your plants. Okay? Thanks, folks.